Hello Cozy Gamers and welcome back to the Cozy Gaming Club, where I cover all the latest cozy gaming news. This week I was able to take an early look at Cattails' Wildwood story, which is essentially a life sim where you get to play as a cat. Sounds perfect, right? It's coming out today and I have so many thoughts about this game that I can't wait to share with you. But first, I want to say a big thank you to Falcon Development for providing me with a key to try out their game ahead of launch. Now, I knew nothing about this game before I pounced in, and maybe you're in the same boat as me, so I thought I'd start with a brief overview of the game. Cattails' Wildwood story puts you in the shoes of a cat colony leader. Your tribe has no home and has been travelling for ages when you finally decide to set up a new base in the mysterious Wildwood. This magical forest has an abundance of herbs and prey for your tribe to thrive on, but there's also a darkness lurking here. Now, I haven't played the first Cattails game, but there were no issues here. The story was well explained at the beginning, and even though this is a sequel, I didn't feel limited having not played the first game. So let's get into my first impressions, where I talk about all of my pros and cons about this game and give my overall thoughts. As a disclaimer, I haven't finished the entire game yet, but I have played over 15 hours and the entire first in-game year, so I've played a fair bit. The best thing about this game is definitely that you get to play as a cat. It's such a unique twist on typical life sims, and you can still get married and have cute kittens too. I think this story is really interesting as well. From the relationship you build with a forest guardian and the home you build for your clan, there's a lot to explore here. After you settle down in the Wildwood, you discover that something doesn't want you there and you'll need to work out who and what that is in order to stay. I don't want to spoil too much of the story as it's always fun to uncover yourself, but I would say that if you're looking for a really deep and intricate plot, that maybe this isn't the game for you. That's one of the things that I love about it though. You can relax and take the game at your own pace. There's no rush to complete the main questline, and you can experience the game in multiple ways, whether that's befriending the townsfolk, spending all day in the mines, or venturing out into the wilds. Which brings us to my second section, exploration. Exploration is a huge part of Cattails, which isn't really surprising considering you play as a cat. Outside of your settlement, there are lots of locations for you to explore, with over 40 different areas like the Blossoming Field and the Volcanic Basin. While adventuring through these different areas of the map, you'll discover new prey to hunt and new forageables to collect. Hunting is very simple to do and maybe one of my favourite parts of the game, which really surprised me. It's oddly therapeutic creeping around, catching the different animals to bring home to your clan. In order to hunt, you need to crouch and sneak up on your prey, but if you get too close, then you'll scare them away. There is a white circle that appears to warn you if you're in their hearing range. There are also enemies and darkling cats that you may encounter as well. Each location on the map has an influence rating, which shows how much control you and your tribe have over it. If you have full control over an area, you can send squads there to collect resources for your clan, which is very useful. But if you travel to an area you don't have full control over, you may encounter stray darkling cats wandering around, or even a full group of them if you travel to an area that's being contested. Normally it might be a bit daunting to have so much ground to cover, but in Cattails there's no set bedtime, so you can stay awake for multiple days in a row as long as you keep your health up. There's also no stamina to limit your exploration as well. Instead, you have a hunger meter that can be refilled by eating the prey or forageables you've collected. However, if you do run out of health and collapse, Cattails is by far one of the harshest games I've encountered. You lose over half of your inventory and some of your money as well, which is quite brutal. As with most games though, you'll wake up the following day in the loving care of your town's doctors. This brings us to our town and citizens. One of the great things about this game is that you're building a colony for all of your fellow cats to live. You'll be able to invite new cats to join your colony by supplying all of their requests, and when you do, you'll need to build them a home. This is really cool because you can decide where their home goes, and it just offers you a lot of freedom when it comes to your town layout. You can also choose the location for things like your temple or garden, and everything can be rearranged if you change your mind later. Your town also has a stockpile of supplies that can be refilled by yourself and by your squads when you send them out exploring. This stockpile gives you a passive boost for different things, but can also be used to unlock a lot of different things for your colony, like increasing the drop rate for rarer items, or unlocking tunnels to access other areas of the map quicker. I have one small issue with the stockpiles though, which is that the treasure stockpile is used for most of the unlockables, but it's so hard to come across. So far, out of all the precious gems I've found, only diamonds count as treasure, and I've collected maybe 8 or 9 in total in my entire first year in the game. As with most life sims, you get a relationship level with your other citizens that you can increase by giving them gifts and chatting to them each day. In typical Stardew fashion, you don't know their preferences at the start, so there'll be a lot of experimentation trying to work out what their liked and loved items are. The cool thing is that after you reach 3 stars with a cat, you unlock the buddy system. This means that your feline friends can tag along with you as you go about your day, and each cat has their own unique skills to help. For example, Jag can randomly destroy all the stones around them when they're mining, while Coco can increase your influence in an area just by being there. Romance is also very important in games like this, and you'll be pleased to know that you can romance, marry, and have kittens in Cattails. In fact, there are over 20 different cats for you to romance, and a cool thing I've not really seen in other games is that they can also start dating and marrying each other as well. I love this, and you can kind of impact their relationships too by pushing them together or apart. I will say that I didn't really experience any heart events with my own love interest though, which is kinda sad. Now let's talk about one of the parts I really didn't enjoy: the mines. In Cattails, your mine is located within your colony's boundaries, which is really great. You don't waste much time getting there each morning, and I also feel like time goes slower in the mines, but that could just be me. My main issue with the mines is that the checkpoints are every 25 levels instead of every 5 or 10, which can be very hard to reach, especially in the early game when you have limited inventory space. You have to bring so much food and health and consumables along with you, and this also takes up space for items you want to take home as well. It feels really bad when you have to leave behind some of your precious gems because the inventory space is taken up by food you may or may not need. The mines also introduce a new currency for you to contend with alongside Muse, which means you need to consciously decide which currency you want when selling your items. In total, there are 3 mines to complete, each with 100 levels I believe, and by the end of the first year I've just completed the first mine. Some people may enjoy the extra challenge the mines give, but it definitely wasn't for me. Next up is customization, which is a really big part of Cattails. We've already briefly touched upon the town design, but you can also design and decorate your home almost right from the get-go. This includes not only decorating your home with pages and pages of decoration, but also expanding it by adding new rooms as long as you have the Muse to cover it. It's such a cool feature, and I really like that you could choose the shape and design of the rooms yourself. As you progress through the game, you can also unlock new furniture items to decorate with. You can also customize your cat with different fur colors, clothes, and pets. Cattails also offers skills for your characters to unlock and upgrade, letting you personalize your experience even more. You can switch out your skills every morning by interacting with your scratching post, letting you take along the skills you think would be most useful that day. I haven't really touched upon the combat yet, and it plays quite a key role in both exploring the mines and progressing the main story. Truthfully, I wasn't a huge fan of the combat in Cattails. Most of the time, I would just walk backwards while charging up my attack as much as I could before swiping everyone at once. This seemed a bit cheaty, but it was the most effective method I found. There are skills that you can unlock that will help you with fighting as well, like a bleed effect skill or being able to summon a group of cats to aid you. In the mine, combat was very annoying because healing was in such short supply. You've got to try and keep as much health as possible to survive a whole 25 levels. One trick I learned was always using the double praise skill. If you successfully hunted an enemy with this skill active, it would instantly kill them, whereas normally you'd also have to fight them a little bit. Having said all that though, I did really enjoy the boss fights. So far, every boss fight has been quite unique, and I love how they tailored each battle to the attacker. I feel like I've touched upon most of the main aspects of the game at this point, but here are a few other things that I liked and didn't like. When you pick up a new item and it gets added to your inventory, it's automatically sorted into an order. So all the prey is grouped together, all the crops are together. It's just really nice that the game does that and you don't have to think about it. On the flip side of this though, inventory is very limited at the start. You can only have stacks of 3, so you run out of space very quickly if you're out exploring. Upgrading is also quite expensive at 600 Mews, but even then it only upgrades to stacks of 5. So while it's better, it's not a huge improvement. I haven't spoken much about the art in Cattails, but I really like it. The character portraits are very well done, and I love how they've done their best to convey the different emotions as you're chatting, just like in other games. I also loved seeing each season change and seeing the new pixel art that came with it. Speaking of seasons, every season only lasts 10 days, which is very different from other farming and life sims. In general, I find the days to be a bit longer than typical, and you can change this in the settings to be even longer still. But this might be off-putting for some players who feel the time constraints of the seasons changing much quicker than other games. At the end of every season, there's also a festival where all of our Cattails gather together. There isn't really a big speech for you to experience, but each festival has fun mini-games for you to play to unlock festival tokens that you can spend at the shop for special festive items. Some examples of these are chasing paw tokens, catching mice, or racing turtles. There was also a small bug that I encountered while playing, but this was the only bug that I really experienced, and it was very easy to fix. I activated auto run right at the start of the game, and occasionally it wouldn't trigger. This was usually after I got hit in a fight or if I entered a new level in the mines, but all I would need to do was toggle crouch on and off and then it would work again. One thing I did notice, which is different from other farming and life sims, is that when you go to sleep for the night, your health doesn't fully recover. There's a set amount that it will recover, but if you've unlocked more hearts, this may not fully heal you. This can be improved by upgrading one of the stockpiles, but I didn't really like this mechanic. It meant I was constantly out of medicinal herbs, or I was constantly spending money at the doctors in order to get back to full health. Finally, one big issue I had with Cattails is that nothing is really explained to you. There are things like the task board and the skills that I don't think were ever shared with me. I just stumbled across them one day. Similarly, I didn't realise I could catch bugs by just swiping them until I was literally in summer and did it by accident one time. I would have liked it if the game explained a few things like this a little bit better. To summarise though, overall I did really enjoy Cattails' Wildwood story. It's a very slow-paced game with not high stakes, which makes it the perfect game to play on an evening while you're chilling and watching TV. As I said before, if you're looking for a deep story, then this probably isn't the game for you. But if you want to just play and explore as a cat and have cute fur babies, then you're gonna love it. What do you think about Cattails' Wildwood story? Are you going to be picking it up, and if not, why not? Let me know in the comments because I'd love to hear your thoughts, especially if you've played the first one. As always, thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!